social class. We are dealing with the history chapter, Socialism in Europe and the Russian Revolution. We saw about Russian Revolution in the previous class. Yes, I hope you all remember those things, right? So how the workers were being really struggling, workers were being even striking for their own rights. All these things we saw. So now we are getting into the 19th century. In 1905, what was the condition of Russia? And they say it was a duration which had so much of confusions, so much of problems in Russia. So what are those things we are going to see today? So today's module is 2.4, Trumbull. You can find this means confusion, time of 1905, the revolution. So if you see, Russia was unlike other European countries. Unlike other European countries means it is not the same as how it was prevailing in the European nations. Russia was somewhat different from them. Russia had its own problem to be dealt. Yes. So if you see, we have seen already the ruler of Russia was Tsar Nicholas. Yes, still he is only being ruling. So Tsar Nicholas was not subjecting himself towards particular thing, and he is not even ready to relax his own powers also. And if you see, Russia was having an aristocracy. So aristocracy means it is a kingship rule which is prevailing in Russia. So it is not like the same which is happening in the European nations. So what is happening in the European nation during the 19th century? All the nations are getting into the revolution and creating their own nation states are happening. So they are forming their own constitutions and they are framing their own parliaments where the people can be represented. But in Russia, it is an aristocratic form of government which is prevailing. Yes, and in the beginning of 20th century also you can find that the same thing was being continuing, and the Tsar Nicholas was not subjected to the parliament. So he is not interested in creating a parliament for Russia, because a parliament should consist of the representatives from the people side. So he don't want such thing to happen. When a representation of common people happens, he feels that his power will be limited and decision making authority may get into the hands of the parliament members. So he is worried about that and he is not ready to give up his own power. So you can find that Russia's people who were being there started having campaigns, started involving themselves in so many other affairs. They get together and they formed their own associations. So if you see, social democratic and social revolutionists were being formed by the workers. So workers were being the people who were really struggling at that time. Yes or no, my dear students? Yes. So the workers were being really struggling. So they wanted something or an organization or something like that to bring him up. So what they decided is social democratic and socialist revolution were being started by the workers, and the workers and the peasant section also joined with them in the year of 1905, and they started demanding constitution. Constitution means, we have a constitution which has its own constituencies. So these constituencies will have their regular election. Constituency means what, ma? Is a ward where you will be electing your own representative. It is also known as constituencies. So we have how many constituencies in Tamil Nadu? We have 243 constituencies which is existing. So if you see about India, 543 constituencies which has been existing. So these constituencies, he don't want any person to get involved or any individual to get into it and bring his own power down. So he is very cautious about it. Then you can see that the support of the emperor was declining because there was nationalism which is arising. We saw all the European countries are becoming a nationalist That means they are getting independent from an aristocratic form of government. And when they get independent from the aristocratic form of government, they frame their own constituencies. They design their own parliament. So these things will happen for the welfare of the common people. So here even in Poland, Poland was a nation which got into an independent aspect. Okay, and here they wanted a Muslim dominant to be prevailing. The Guards, it is called as the Guards. It is called as the modern Islam to be leading the society. So they want the modern Islamic people to lead the society. And before the year 1904, what was happening in Russia, we'll see. So if you see in Russia in 1904, the workers were been struggling, we saw. Yes, similarly you can find that the wage, the goods prices, goods means rice, wheat, sugar, milk, everything are all called as goods. So these goods, its price started increasing. So when the price of the goods increased, what should happen? Obviously the salary of a worker should increase, right? But here what happened, the salary remained the same. Instead you can say that 20% was less for them, and few workers were not even able to fulfill their basic needs. That how the worse condition of the workers over there in Russia happened. So what will be the result of it? Definitely there will be an agitation, there will be an revolt, there will be an opposition which will be shown by the workers. Yes. Similarly here also you can find that workers started striking. As we saw previously, the workers started striking. So when they started striking, they started demonstrating about all these things. There you can find a membership of workers were being formed. So but we saw previously Russian authorities, they said whatever organization that is prevailing will be considered as an illegal organization. So if they form any organization also, it will be called as an illegal organization, and it is against the government rule, and the government, the police has all right to arrest them. So here you can find that the members of the workers association rose dramatically. So the members of the association started increasing. One by one started joining in that association. And when 4 members of the Assembly of Russian Workers, which had been formed in 1904, were dismissed at the Putley Iron Workers. So it is a working area. So they saying if they were being considered as a worker association member, he is being sent out of the job. So this kind of situation was also happening in Russia, and there was a call for the industrial action. So industrial action, they wanted these iron workers to go out, and they want an industrial development that to happen. Over few days you can find that there about 11,000 workers in St. Petersburg went on strike, demanding that reduction in the working days. So they wanted the reduction in working days and working hours. So they want only 8 hours of work, but actually 12 to 15 hours is the working time of them. So imagine students how horrible it will be, like 15 to 12 hours they are supposed to work a day, and the remaining hours only they are supposed to take rest. But they started demanding only 8 hours of work, and remaining hours they wanted to do some other work. Okay, so and they also demanded for the increase in the wage. If a person gets 10,000, so a person wanted to get increase in his wage at least to be 15,000. So they were demanding for that also. And one more very important thing is they also demanded for the improvement in their working condition. So their working condition should be good. A room which has to have a proper ventilation facility, proper drinking water facility should be there, and then restroom facility should be there, so that it will be easy for them, comfortable for them to work. So they wanted a good environment for working. So if any person who is not able to have water, these things are all basic things which a human needs, right? So when it has been not provided properly, definitely the people will start showing their agitation. Yes. So when this process is going on, you can find that it was being led, this strike was being led by the father Gapon, Gapon, Gapon. He reached the Winter Palace, okay, and started attacking. So by the policemen they started attacking, and the military men also started attacking them over, and this is known as the Blood Sunday. So the event that is happening now, when the process of the workers led by Father Gabon reached the Winter Palace, and it was attacked by the policemen and the Cossacks. Cossacks means the military men. Then it is known as the Blood Sunday. This event, okay, this event is very important, might be asked for one more question. So it is known as the Blood Sunday, and they started still more agitating, and the event went on still worse in condition, and it became to be known as the 1905 revolution. And in this you can find about 100 workers were being killed and 300 workers were being wounded. And you can see that this strike, as it was going on, it started spreading throughout the country. All over the country it was being spread, and the people started complaining to close. So universally closed down the student body. So they said that they are going to close all the schools, colleges. So what happens? People, women, children all started taking part in it and walk out for complaining about the lack of liberal aspect that is happening. So lawyers, doctors, engineers, and even the middle class started establishing their own unions of works, and they started demanding the constitutional assembly. So unions means which will protect them. For that purpose the unions are being formed, because the whole worker community should not get exploited totally. So to safeguard them, to protect them, they want an organization which is being named as an union. Okay, so this has been formed. During 1905, the Russian Revolution, when it is happening, Tsar Nicholas, he allowed them to create their own parliament, because the condition of Russia is going still worse and worse. So he could not manage it with the military force. What he decided is, he decided to give them the opportunity to create their own parliament. Okay, so he allowed them to create parliament, and that was known as Duma, D-U-M-A. Okay, so this is the parliament name of Russia. So when they started forming their own parliament, while during this revolution you can find that large number of trade unions and factory committees were being made up, and the factory workers were being supporting them. But you can find after 1905, most of the committees and unions were being unofficial. So they are unofficial means they are not legally authorized. So since it has been declared as illegal, several restrictions were being there for the committee members as well as the union members. Okay, so what happened is that the place of political activity was restricted, and still you can find that the committee was not given proper authority, or the union was not given a proper representation in the nation. So they cannot form their own unions and other committees. So this time you can find that, but what has been granted to them by the king, he has granted that they can have their own parliament. So the parliament was also formed, and they started their own having constitution. But you know what happened? Within 75 days of the formation of this parliament, he dismissed them. Okay, and again within 3 months, he elected a new parliamentary members. So this was also done. You know why he is been doing this continuously? The thing is, he don't want anyone to be superior than him, and he should be the person who has to take decision of all the aspects, and he don't want anything to limit his power. So that is what his prime motive. That is why the Tsar Nicholas has been giving importance to his own aristocratic form of government. Okay, so you can find here that at the beginning there was a workers' revolt which was being started by 1905. They formed an association of Social Worker Association and Socialist Revolutionists, where they started giving lot of importance for the peasants and the workers. So peasants and workers were being given lot of importance to strike against the workings. Then you can find that when this revolution was started beginning 1904, the goods price increased. So when the goods price increased, there was an wage should increase, but did not happen. So people were being suffering. To safeguard those kind of people who are being exploited in the society, you can find that the unions were being developed. So when unions were being developed, they said that the unions are illegal, should not be formed. So they started demanding a separate parliament from the king. So when they are demanding, Tsar Nicholas felt his power will be reduced, so he was not giving them. So people started striking, and when it reached to the Winter Palace and when it has led into a wider struggle, he felt something is going on wrong, and Tsar Nicholas gave them the permission of establishing their own parliament, which is known as Dome. Okay, so when this Dome was started, within 75 days he has dismissed the members, and again he has re-elected within 3 months. You know why he is doing it? Is because he don't want to limit his power. He want to be the supreme person to rule Russia. So this is what is about the revolution of 1905. So the remaining we'll see in the next class. Okay, my dear students, please go on read this and take notes. Minimum each passage 4 points you take and keep it, so that it will be useful for you to learn. Okay, my dear students, this is the homework. Okay, thank you.